So the city of Toronto is on the long and growing list of employers that will be making COVID-19 vaccines mandatory. And so what does that mean for those who do not want to roll up their sleeve? Well, some experts say medical exemptions will be hard to come by, and legally there could be few options to fight it.
Ultimately, the judge and jury, and when it comes to that, is the doctor.
Toronto employment lawyer Lior Samfiru says he knows employees who have already been consulting with their doctors and lawyers about these vaccine mandates, and he expects that workplaces could see a lot of pushback from those who do not want to get immunized against COVID-19.
So medical exemptions actually tend to be fairly straightforward. Really, all you would need is a doctor's note, a doctor's letter saying that for medical reasons, you cannot get the vaccine. The doctor is not required to specify what the medical condition is, and really an employer cannot go beyond that and demand more information.
But obtaining a doctor's note could be challenging. There are very few valid reasons for a medical exemption, which would include a severe reaction or heart inflammation after the first shot. And U of T professor Dr. Omar Khan says another reason would be a severe allergy to the vaccine ingredients.
Now, most of the ingredients are actually pretty normal and benign and found in everyday things like different salts, sugar, water, a couple of the other ingredients like polyethylene glycol. If you had certain surgeries in the past and have noticed things, then that would potentially come up.
Is the hypersensitivity to some of these ingredients that you're talking about, is that something that would be considered rare?
Honestly, we don't really see much of that at all. And if there was, a lot of that would have been picked up by the clinical trials. Now, it's important to understand how clinical trials work. They are first and foremost about safety. And if it looks safe, then they start looking at whether it's effective. So there was a very high bar to pass in the first place. So if any of these materials cause hypersensitivity in people, that would mean that it would have been picked up in any of the numerous trials. And remember, by the time you get to a phase 3 trial, the number of people you're testing is just enormous.
In British Columbia, the government there announced there will be no medical or religious exemptions for its vaccine passport system, a move that will make it harder for people to challenge. But here in Ontario, that's not the case. And while Samfiru says people will have legal recourse to fight for their jobs, it will likely be an uphill battle.
If you, in fact, choose not to be vaccinated, you will lose your job. You will lose your job. You are not. Potentially, you'll have to fight for your severance. You may be disqualified from government benefits. You will then have a hard time getting re-employed because someone else may not want to hire you. So you can face financial ruin in that situation. So this may be one of those matters where the law doesn't provide adequate protection. You will potentially risk losing your job, and you have to decide whether that is something you're prepared to do.
Now, all of this really is uncharted territory. If you are worried about losing your job or you do believe that you have a valid reason for a medical exemption, experts say these are discussions you should be having with your doctor and a lawyer.